to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing a towing test with the 2.7 liter Ecoboost V6 hooked up to our 14-foot short track dump trailer. This dump trailer weighs about 3,800 pounds. It is empty, but this is a good weight for this truck. It is the 5.5-foot bed, so it's the shorter wheelbase. Recently we did a test with our 3.5 liter Ecoboost, which has the 6.5-foot bed, longer wheelbase max towing package, and today we're doing a 2.7, and I do notice that it is squatting quite a bit more than the 3.5 max towing package did, so that's something definitely worth mentioning. This truck has the standard towing package, not the max towing package, and I can definitely tell that these springs in the rear, these leaf springs in the rear, do squat a little bit more. But here is a look at the entire setup. Sorry if it's a little bit hard to see. This is a black F-150. It's my wife's truck, and she did pick this out. Me personally would have went with a brighter color so it'll be easier to film, but it is a black special edition package. It's got the graphics on it. I don't know if they'll show up good on camera, but it's got the graphics here. It's got the special edition wheels, and of course, take a quick look inside. It's got the red stitching on the seats. Let me turn the radio off. It's got the red stitching on the seats and the red seat belts. Sport written everywhere to signify that this is the special edition package. But we're gonna do a quick test. We'll go ahead and reset the MPG for the truck using the computer to see how much fuel it uses, what kind of miles per gallon it gets while towing this trailer. But anyway, see you guys inside of the truck. All right, guys, driving along here, and I'm gonna go ahead and reset the MPG calculator, and I'm just gonna use that for this test. I know it's not as accurate as using the actual fuel station, the gas station, going to the pump and waiting for that second click and getting the most accurate MPG that you could possibly get. But it is what it is, and it's one of those things is I don't even know if that really is the most accurate. I mean, it's dependent upon getting the exact same amount of fuel that you got the first time. How do you know that the pump, it's kind of based on how the gas sloshes back at the pump and it clicks to turn itself off. But how do you know that's even accurate? Like, sometimes when you do that, the results are way off. It's like, it's not always perfect. It's tough. It's tough to really get the most accurate MPG test. I think the best way is to do a really long test, so those little bit of variables don't affect it too much. If you were to do 1,000 miles or something like that, then even 500 miles, then a little bit of discrepancy with like the amount of gas that's sloshed back at the pump. Now, when you're doing a real small MPG test, things get a little squirrely. But anyway, guys, the 2.7 again is doing great, pulling the weight. It does a really good job. It's just as good as, so far, it's just as good as the 3.5 Ecoboost. And power wise, well, I shouldn't say it's just as good. I mean, the 3.5 Ecoboost is just it's faster, you know what I mean? It is faster, but this still, to me, feels power wise just a little bit better than the 6.2. And I do know from previous testing with the 2.7 that it will turn back significantly better MPG than any V8, even loaded. This thing's probably better than a 5.7 Hemi. It might even be better than that truck empty, but I have to double check. I have to look back at the videos. But I towed a small vehicle with this truck side by side against a Hemi. I really should link that video in the description. But side by side versus a Hemi, and it got such better MPG that it was just unreal. Like, it got so much better miles per gallon, and that comes down to the 2.7. The 2.7 is the smallest but it is so efficient. Even when you load it, it just returns better numbers, and it really makes you think. It's like, man, if this engine could be built to be robust enough to go into a heavy-duty truck, it would return real savings. I mean, real savings. Now, yes, this engine, I don't really think this engine can handle Super Duty life. If it did, I think you'd see a lot of failures, particularly with the block. It's a multi-section block, but the actual design of this engine, things could be beefed up. Just the internals of this engine aren't the best of the best. They're good, you know, they're decent. The internals, the connecting rods, the pistons, the crankshaft, it's all decent, but it's not as good as even the 3.5 EcoBoost. They use a little bit better hard parts inside of the engine, internals, better pistons. I think they have a forged connecting rod in the 3.5 EcoBoost and the forged crank. So the 3.5 EcoBoost just has better components inside. One thing the 2.7 has over the 3.5 is just those water-cooled exhaust manifolds, and I think that's why this engine is just so good at handling abuse. Like, when you put more abuse to this engine, it doesn't degrade. The MPG doesn't degrade linearly like it does with the V8 or the 3.5 EcoBoost. Is, I don't know, you know, I'm not sure if the 3.5 EcoBoost is better than the V8 as far as MPG. A lot of tests show that it's not, but a lot of times you're in the power. It's so easy to get into the power, and when you're inside of a power band that you can't even get into with a V8, then of course it's going to get worse mileage. I think that if you drove the 3.5 conservatively while towing, I think it could return better MPG than the V8, but that's to be determined. I'd have to do a video on it and really look at things. Right now though, this truck is towing 3,800 pounds and is getting 15.2 to the gallon. That's pretty amazing. And that's why I say, like, yeah, the 7.3 is cool, but the 7.3 is going to use a lot of fuel. It is what it is. There's one of those things where they've pretty much figured out that there is a point where a small engine it's under load and it's going to use more fuel, but that doesn't seem to be the case with the 2.7. As it's under load, it does get better mileage than V8s, and I just think that the tuning and the water-cooled exhaust and the direct injection, well, now dual injection, all these technologies just work together and do a great job. So blown away, guys, by the efficiency. We just kind of stopped here. We're down to 14.7. We kind of crept down on the MPG a little bit after kind of stopping, but it's amazing. You know, this is not highway or anything. I think highway will get a little worse. The 3.55 rear gear is better for your rural driving, where you're going like 45 with minimum stops. Now once you get above that, this whole thing kind of goes down. It's not like you're gonna get 15 in the city and then 18, 19 on the highway while towing. I think the wind resistance comes into play, and the fact that it is pretty heavy, and all that stuff starts to come into play. So but guys, overall impressed. Now, one thing I noticed with going with this truck, this is my wife's special edition, the shorter wheelbase and not having a max towing package, it kind of means that the rear springs, the rear leaf springs, are not quite as strong. They squat quite a bit more than the max towing, and I want to do a measurement. I didn't measure it. I was kind of in a rush to get this video out there, but they kind of squat more than the max springs on the 3.5 EcoBoost. So there's definitely something there with that max towing package, but nonetheless, it still tows pretty good. Not as good as my max towing package, but decent enough for what it is. I mean, there's nothing in this truck, and it kind of makes me think that, hey, you could probably get away with a little bit more tongue weight than 500 and still be pretty safe with the max towing package. I think that 500 max tongue weight for all F-150s is just a blanket thing that kind of affects all half tons. I'm not sure if GM has it though, that limitation, but get over here. Now, I will say with these mirrors, it's a little bit hard to see on the right-hand side of the trailer there, where there is a spare tire that's hard for me to see around. But, you know, it is what it is. A little bit easier with some towing mirrors. But, like I was saying, the 2.7 does great. One thing about this truck, this particular truck being my wife's short wheelbase, is it's quite a bit easier to maneuver, a little bit less stable than the long wheelbase 3.5 EcoBoost, which we towed this trailer with we towed with 3.5 EcoBoost, which that video I'll link in the description. This short wheelbase is so much more maneuverable and easy for me to back up compared to the longer wheelbase. I've been having a hard time getting this trailer in the backyard and kicking it over far enough so that it's kind of out of the way, because it goes into my tight driveway and then it gets kind of pushed over to the left. And it's been difficult with the Super Duty and with the F-150, the long wheelbase 3.5 EcoBoost. But with this shorter wheelbase, I've noticed that it's a lot more maneuverable and easy for me to turn, easier to back up. It gets back in front of the trailer, catches the turns a lot quicker, and it just does a really good job turning and backing up. Now, like I said, less stable. You know, those longer wheelbases, your engine, you got to think of your engine and your front end as like a ballast toward the tongue weight. So the more tongue weight you have, well, the longer wheelbase is almost moving your engine and everything further forward and give you more control and more stability. Whereas with the shorter wheelbase, you know, the mechanical leverage that you have on the hitch, that 500-pound tongue weight, kind of affects your ride a little bit more because the wheelbase is shorter. So it is what it is. But anyway, guys, that's it for this part of the video. I'm going to touch base again with you guys once I get home. So see you guys back at the house. Alright, so I just made it home with the trailer and the truck, and we drove a total of 14.5 miles, and we returned 16.5 miles to the gallon. Now, that's pretty amazing to get 16.5 miles to the gallon while towing a 3,800-pound dump trailer. Now, there's my silver F-250 right there, and I can tell you that there's no way I could have gotten that MPG empty with the wind blowing me behind my back, driving that same route. It just can't do it. So it's nothing short of amazing that this little V6 is that efficient, and the power is there, and it's not like it feels any weaker than the 6.2. It's very comparable. It's very interesting I wonder, you know, it really makes me wonder if this engine was in a Super Duty, would it blow up or would it hold up? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this backed in, and then I'm going to check in with you guys. Alright guys, so this is what I'm dealing with regards to getting the trailer back here. But all in all, guys, the 2019 F-150 with the 2.7 EcoBoost did great, and it makes me wonder how good would this engine be in a Super Duty if it could be made robust enough to survive life in a Super Duty. And it's an interesting question because it's so efficient at towing, at working, that nothing would be able to touch it, you know, just because it would offer so many savings for an entire fleet. Now, the idea that it can't handle it is kind of interesting when you think about loading an engine. My 20 horsepower lawnmower has been doing commercial mowing, and it's been under full load. It's just a carbureted engine, and it still runs, and it hasn't blown up or died. But anyway, guys, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and see you guys in the next one. Over and out.